Alright, so what we got here is a 1979 Greco Les Paul copy, and took all the strings off. I'm going to change the strings. And what I got here is Gorgomyte, which is supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes to cleaning your guitar's fretboards. So I am going to give this a shot right here in this video. This is sold by our wonderful friends at GHS, which is the string company out of Battle Creek, Michigan, whose strings I've exclusively used for more than 25 years. I like them a lot. Locally owned business out of Michigan, and everything I've purchased and product from them is seems to be pretty good. So I got this here. Comes in this sheet, and apparently what you're supposed to do is cut a square out of it about 2 inches by 2 inches for those of us who still are antiquated and using the inches and feet and, you know, without getting into all that kind of stuff. Why haven't we switched to the metric system? It's just ridiculous. There's no reason why we can't do it. All we have to do is institute it into a generation, and it'll become the norm in the next 2 generations. And then we'll just look at it like we will black and white tube TVs with rabbit ears on them and all those other old man things. Okay, so I have this little board here. See if I can. It's my first time really using this camera, so you have to pardon me. And we will. Yeah, we can. Okay, so it's not terrible, but that's how it's starting out. It's a rosewood fretboard, and that's 40 years old, so which makes me feel old. 40 years ago, 1979. So they say to start at the first fret and work their way down. So that's what I'll do. Apparently, you can go right over the all of the markers, and it also cleans up the frets too. So you just kind of go with a back and forth motion here. So we're going to do this, and if my editing software allows me to fast forward through all the mundane stuff, then we will certainly do that. But you may be stuck with watching me do this for the entire 5 or 6 minutes that it takes. Wow, I can already see a difference. That's pretty wild. And then look at all that gunk that just came off of there. And I mean, it doesn't look, to the naked eye, it doesn't look like it's all that dirty. But that's a lot of gunk that came off of there already. So this will help condition and clean the frets and the fretboard. Now, my understanding is this was invented by Jimmy Johnson, not the Viagra race car driver. Jimmy Johnson, who was the longtime guitar tech for Tommy Shaw from Styx, another Michigan native. So you've got GHS strings out of Michigan, and you've got Tommy Shaw out of Michigan. My understanding is he lives down in an area, same area where Muhammad Ali lived. A little town called Buchanan. Sleepy, look at that gross gunky stuff. Sleepy little town on the southwest end of Michigan. It's a really nice area, real close to Lake Michigan, and a lot of people from Chicago own property, lakefront property around the lakes in Lake Michigan, and that's kind of their summer vacation spot. So, a little information. Now, when I bought this guitar, I didn't know that much about it. I actually ended up buying it from a dude online. I really like the Greco guitars. They're vintage Japanese guitars. Had incredible luck with them. This is a guy out of New York City. He wanted to sell it. Apparently it wasn't working for him anymore. So I bought it based on looks. I'm a big Ace Frehley fan, so just made sense to own this. I figured if it was junk, then it would just become wall art, which I already have a Ace Frehley type style guitar that's exclusively wall art. But yeah, this one could join it if it needed to. But I'm actually very impressed with it. It's a very nice guitar. Interestingly enough, it has a compound radius. And I've been playing guitar for 40 years, which is why 1979 seems like when I say it was 40 years ago, it just makes me feel ancient. 40 years of playing guitar, I never knew what a compound radius was. I just know plug a Les Paul into a tube amp and go at it. And that's really just what I've been doing. So, yeah, this apparently has a compound radius. Now I can see it as I'm doing this. I can see how this kind of a little thicker there and a little thinner, and it's pretty cool. My understanding is that helps the people that play shred and like to play fast, that they really like the compound radius. Doesn't make that much difference to me. I'm more of a rhythm player. I like playing rhythm. Rather lay down that nice foundation and do that. Plus I'm not that good of a guitarist, so I think it's an amazing talent when somebody can shred, but it doesn't do anything for me. I'd rather take a guy like Pat Travers or Rick Nielsen, who can just play 10 notes and make it sound beautiful, than Yngwie Malmsteen, who just plays 1,000 and doesn't really do much for me. Not my thing. Your mileage may vary. You know what I kind of feel like here is, if you've ever watched gosh, look at that, all that gunk coming off there, my goodness. If you've ever watched Bob Ross, he's painting along and he's just kind of rambling. Seems like that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to flip this over now. We're going to start with this side. This is the gunky side. I'm going to start with this side and work my way back here and see what kind of fun things we can get off of this fretboard even more, because I don't think one pass is really going to do it with this. While I'm doing my Bob Ross ramble here, going back to GHS, I am not endorsed by GHS. I don't get any benefit from their product other than just being an end user. But yeah, look at that gunky side there, and then that's just from 4 or 5 frets. In the corner there you can see those GHS Sub-Zero guitar strings. Oh my gosh, are they great. Heavy brightness to them that I haven't experienced in a guitar string before this. And I've always had good luck with GHS strings. But I put those, I've been an SG, and I put those on it. My gosh, the thing rings like a bell. Because I do occasionally play some lead, even though I don't like it. But I play at a mega church, so there's what they call guitar lines, and some of them are kind of lead parts, and a lot of delay, as it is in modern worship music. And those strings, they ring. So I'm hooked. That's a little more expensive. People swear by different strings, whatever works for them. But I just tried something new, and it was GHS, which, like I said, I've had good luck with them, so I went for it, and I'm very happy with it. So if you want to try new strings, try your luck at it. Try those GHS Sub-Zeros, see what they do for you. If not, you're only out a few bucks, and go back to whatever you're using already anyway. I'm going at it a little harder down here in the main places that I play, around the power chords and the cowboy chords. To do a little extra. Yeah, I can see a significant difference, my gosh. And I'll try and zoom in. It's really showing off the I guess it would be the pores of the rosewood, for lack of a better term. I don't get all the fancy schmancy kind of stuff, so I don't know. Luthiers and they all know this kind of stuff. I'm no Trogley, that's for sure. Never watched a Trogley video? He's the man. That's a guy who knows his stuff. It's really interesting. He really gets into the inner workings of a guitar. And one of his videos, two of his videos, got me thinking about going back and purchasing a JC area Gibson, which I kind of swore off Gibson, especially once I discovered all these made in Japan vintage instruments and just the craftsmanship that went into it, and then seeing the there's some quality control issues under Henry. I never had a problem with the robot turn tuners. I thought, well, that was innovative, and the things Henry tried, if he'd have been successful, he'd been hailed as a hero. You know, give him credit for trying, but sure, the quality control over there was suffering for a while. But kind of back on Gibson's side again with the JC era. He's kind of put some faith in it, but probably just going to buy a Les Paul Standard and one of those special double cutaways they came out with a single P90. I think that'd be a fun guitar to try. Watched Trogley's demo and I was like, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. And he, the standard that he did with the 60s neck, which I'm a fan of the 50s neck. I like a little bit of a chunk to it, but the way he described it, I said, we'll give it a try. And I got some guitars I got to sell before I can get into all that. And I'm going to have Heritage guitars. I want them to build me a H150 with the ebony top and a natural back, because I think that looks really sharp. Get everything on the back, be natural, and then just black on the top. So I don't know what that's going to cost, $2-3 grand. Don't tell my wife. I'll sell stuff before I invest that kind of money, though, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, really, I do try and keep it down. There was, I saw a video on the Premier guitar. John, what's his nuts, did a factory tour of Gibson 2019, and the guy in there was talking about the average guitarist, not a pro player, just the average guitarist, which would be a guy like me, owns 8 guitars. Now, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I own 12. Now, granted, 3 of the guitars I own are kids' guitars. One's a old, just junky little cheap Strat that I actually got to donate. But as far as my playable pro guitars that I bring in to church or I record with, there are 6 of those, and then I've got a 6-string Martin, a 12-string Martin. So officially, guitars that I can actually use, I've got 8 that I use regularly. One's a bass, so that doesn't really count. I'm not a bass player per se. But yeah, this thing's getting, this Gorgomyte pad is getting really gnarly, but I'm seeing a huge difference. Now, my understanding is not only does this clean it, but it also conditions, the wood and polishes the frets a little bit. So you're getting all the best of all those worlds right there. So yeah, I mean, look at both sides of this gunk-orama. And to me, when I started this out, it didn't look like there was that much on it, but you know, 40 years. This thing started life in Japan, and I don't know where it went before it got to New York City. Like I have 4 Grecos, and I got one from Japan, and the SG came from the Ukraine. So who knows what that thing saw. A lot of smoke-filled Ukraine bars, you can just tell. I mean, it is a player's grade guitar, but it is just so nice. Sounds really good, plays really good, action's super low. Stuck a Bigsby on it, and yeah, that's what we did. Well, I'm digging this, man. Gorgomyte, huh? The nice part is, with this, you don't even got to use any steel wool. So you're not going to get any metal shavings in your fingers by accident. Because even though it's really mild steel wool, there's still little shards of steel that can get in there. So I'm going to concentrate on those frets a little bit. Sorry if you're bored. I'm just, as long as I got the strings off, I'm going to do a thorough job. Nothing worth doing is worth cutting corners on, that's for sure. And then we're going to get this sucker string back up and put her back in rotation. I've had it tuned to a half step down, or a full step down. I did it for some recordings I did recently, which today is December 30, 2019, and my goal is to have an album done March, April. So who knows, if you're watching this well after that, it's probably already out, and there's going to be videos up there. So yeah, that is, as my friend Jesse Yoder said, disc roasting. That's pretty nasty. So we'll take that, we'll throw that in the trash, and I thought I had a baby diaper around here to rub it, but apparently I don't. So we'll just take a old towel here and maybe polish that bad boy anyway. Wipe off any excess here. Yeah, those frets are way shinier than they used to be, and the wood is really popping now. So yeah, that's Gorgomyte. That's good stuff. Like I say, you can get that if you go to GHS's website. They've got a link on there. You can buy it. Probably Sweetwater will carry it, or Amazon. I got it off Reverb. It's actually whoever was selling it before GHS took over, because the new ones have GHS on the package. This one doesn't. It just has Gorgomyte.com, and I don't know if that link is still accurate or not, but yeah, if you want to support a family-owned business in GHS, you can order it from their website or whatever you got to do. Sweetwater's pretty cool, I understand. I've never ordered from them. Oh my gosh, those frets are like shining. I've dealt with some of their customer reps on the phone. I've not bought from them, but everybody I've spoken with that has ordered from them is very pleased. So yeah, it's really bringing out the beauty of those fret markers. Those frets are nice and shiny. So I'm going to say that Gorgomyte's a hit. So patronize them, give it a try. I don't have to worry about steel wool and all that other stuff. So I'm going to end this video here. Hope I didn't bore you too bad with my old man ramblings. And hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.